Madhava Kunjabihari Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Vadadhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Jasodhanandana Braja Janarandana Brajanada Jasodhanandana Braja Janarandana Dana Braja Janarandana Jamanatira Vanachari Yamanatira Vanachari Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Madhava Kunjabihari Gopi Jana Badhava Girivardhari Gopi Jana Badhava Girivardhari Gopi Jana Badhava Girivardhari Jana Badhava Girivardhari Jasodhanandana Brajajanarandana Brajajanarandana Jasodhanandana Brajajanarandana Jamanatira Vanachari Yamanatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Hari Virgacharya Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Pimanandi Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Canto 10, Chapter 20, Text 35, yes? Sarvas Sarvasvam jaladahitva Jireju Shubra Varchasaha Yata Chaktai Shana Shanta Munayo Mukta Kilbishaha Sarvasvam Janada Hitva Virejo Shobra Varcha Saha Yata Chaktai Shana Shanta Munayo Mukta Kirbishaha. Munayo Mukta Kirbishaha Sarvasvam Jalada Hitva Hit Virejo Shubra Varcha Saha Yata Chaktai Shana Shanta Munayo Mukta Kirbishaha Sarvasam Jalada Hitva Virejo Shubra Varcha Saha Yata Chaktai Shana Sarvasvam, everything they possess. Jaladaha, the clouds. Hitva, having given up. Virejuho, shown forth. Shubhra, pure. Varchasaha, their effulgence. Yatta, just as. Chakta Eshanaham, who have given up all desires. Shantaha, pacified. Munayaha, sages. Mukta Kirbishaha, freed from evil propensities. Translation, the clouds, having given up all they possessed, shone forth with purified effulgence, just like peaceful sages who have given up all material desires and are thus free of all sinful propensities. Purport. When the clouds are filled with water, they are dark and cover the sun's rays, just as the material mind of an impure man covers the soul, shining within. But when the clouds pour down their rain, they become white and then brilliantly reflect the shining sun, just as a man who gives up all material desires and sinful propensities becomes purified and then brilliantly reflects his own soul and the Supreme Soul within. the rainy season in autumn. See the clouds there be in the backdrop behind the altar and up on the ceiling? That's the clouds in autumn. Summer, there's hardly clouds. In India, hardly clouds. Rare. But those are autumn clouds in India. So the autumn season starts right after Kartik, because having just been in India, it's raining a lot. Of course, I was in the southern part of India, not in Vrindavan. I don't know, it's probably not raining so much in Vrindavan. But in southern India, it's raining a lot. I mean, drizzle, sometimes heavy rain, and then drizzle. But rain clouds in the sky a lot. From time to time, they depart. Anyway, the rainy season, this earlier section of the chapter, is dealing with the beneficial effects of the rainy season in many, many different ways. Human society is dependent upon rain. Of course, too much rain, not enough rain, but rain is needed for the necessities of life for all living beings, including human society. And then from the rain, things become muddy. Just sharing, because we were visiting places where Lord Ramachandra performed his pastime. In fact, we visited the place where Hanuman was born, and Rishimukh Mountain, and the whole thing. So Shravana is the mountain where Ramchandra stayed during the rainy season, and as soon as the rainy season was over, the sky cleared, and specifically it's mentioned the mud became dried up and one could move about. So here, this particular verse, it's the beginning of the autumn season. So jala, da means to give, and jala means water, so that means clouds. Clouds that are filled with water, that's the rainy season clouds, and they're dark. And during the rainy season, the clouds that are dark distribute the water. Sarva swam jalada. Hitva means given up. They've given up all the water. So it's being compared, well, as the rain cloud gives up all of its water, then comes the clouds in the autumn season. Vireju, Shubhra, Varchasaha. Varchasaha means effulgence. So the clouds in the sky, the autumn clouds, that aren't filled with abundant water, clouds means moisture, but when it's not so thick, then Vachushuhu, there's effulgence. The effulgence of the sun can pass through the clouds, and the clouds are bright and effulgent. The effulgence of the bright clouds is the sun. It's not really the clouds are effulgent, but they give light. They appear bright in contrast to the rainy season clouds. The rainy season clouds, the purport is explaining, they block the sun. Of course, autumn isn't the same as the winter season, etc., etc. The summer season's scorching hot, but no clouds, nothing blocking. The Vireju They shine because they're Shubra, they're pure. Pure in comparison to the rain clouds, the rainy season clouds. So all of this is being used metaphorically to appreciate munis, sages. Sages are compared to the clouds, or clouds are compared to the sages, who chaktai shana, chakta ashana, desires. Chakta, they give up desires. In Jiva Goswami's commentary, he adds a little element. He says they give up karma that brings the bondage of samsara, and with that, freedom from desire, and with the freedom from desire comes peacefulness, shanta, and in that peaceful condition, just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, who can be happy if you're not peaceful? Who can be happy if you're not peaceful? And as long as there's material desire, you're not peaceful. Even if you have stuff, fulfillment of material desire, you're not peaceful. And so what's the happiness when you're not peaceful? Yes, you're anticipating the next getting something material, and then something, it's a trick. It's a trick of the illusory energy. Now you see it, now you don't, and then comes misery, because it wasn't really happiness. And it's not really misery. The real misery is forgetfulness of who we are. Some appreciation of the language of the Bhagavatam and the message of the Bhagavatam, in contrast to those that don't have the Bhagavatam's association. There is language in the Bhagavatam and in the Vedas that indicate no desire. And no desire means no material desire. Just like the Vedas describe the absolute as without form, without form means without material form. Now, if you're an impersonalist, go for no desire and no form. For the individual, no desire, become desireless. And then when you become desireless, guess what? You're God. You just forgot because you had desire. When you give up desire, you become God. Good luck. Become God. Or what? Someone sent me a link. The leaders of the China Yatra, the GBCs in China, have formed a little group of devotees that visit China from their euphemistically called the overseas devotees. That's the language that's used. So the overseas devotees have this little sangha, and one of the GBCs there sent this little, very surprising, approved by the Chinese government, because they're like, they like censorship more than approving things. So, but they approved an award-winning film that's now posted on YouTube. That's from the something Chinese monastery something, where a Chinese Buddhist master that, by the way, this is anecdotal, but it's connected to the message. In China, there are 5 recognized religions, and one of those 5 is Buddhism. The government is right on top of what Buddhists are allowed to say and do, but it's recognized. And so Buddhism, it's good from the Chinese government point of view because God doesn't exist. There's no such thing, because that's a cornerstone not only of Marxism, but of the Chinese brand of communism. It's just God doesn't exist. So they have a problem with God exists. There's different reasons why. But 3 of the other recognized religions by the Chinese government have God exists in their message. And boy, are they really strict about controlling those people compared to Confucian and Buddhism. They still control Confucian and Buddhism big time, but they're really on top of those 3 that are recognized that say God exists. So there's this film, an award-winning, I didn't see it yet because I couldn't see it while I was in India, but the quality of the film is really good, and the storyline is a Buddhist master, not just a practitioner, but a apparently celebrated Buddhist master, after he got, some attainment in Buddhism, he somehow went to India, apparently to see where Buddha, the place where Buddha came from. And when he's there, he contacts Vedic culture. And apparently he reaches some conclusion that God exists. A Buddhist master, not just like a little fellow. This is so. There are these 2 concepts: impersonalism and personalism. So impersonalism says, the Bhagavatam is personalism, obviously, but impersonalism says no desire means literal. No desire. Like the clouds that disperse their rain. Jalada. Of course, there's still clouds. Clouds means there's still moisture, so there's still desire. But desire less is taken in a literal sense. No desire. So if there's no desire, there's no living entity. Or say it the other way. When there is a living entity, there's desire. Or say it another way. In the spiritual realm, there's desire. But it's pure. Krishna has desire, living entity has desire, and they're in sync with one another. The living entity in sync with Krishna's desire. That's love. But if you're an impersonalist, there's no such thing. It doesn't exist. Because you have no desire. And if you have no desire, you have no activity, or say it the other way. If no activity, you have no desire. So don't do anything. And don't have any desire. Engage in meditation where you don't do anything. And you have no desire. And then you become peaceful. That's the sequence that Jiva Goswami presents in his commentary. Another little link someone sent me is this young adult, young man, a boy that wasn't just a teenager, but he was a Buddhist student, and his Buddhist master saw he was like really good. So he gave him some techniques so he can do meditation and get absorbed. So this young boy, the video shows, he was engaged in meditation, doing nothing for some period of time, a month. He didn't eat, he didn't drink water, he didn't open his eyes. He was engaged in meditation under a banyan tree, somewhere near where Buddha did his meditation. So there's this documentary showing over there is this young Buddhist fellow who's been, I don't remember the period of time, but that's just a month, not eating. This is contemporary. Not eating, not taking any water, of course, breathing, and, just sitting there, no activity, absorbed in whatever that thing is that he had learned from his Buddhist master. So they showed the Buddhist master coming because he heard his student was in this trance-like state and went to check out, and, doctors came, he's alive. Something like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, seeing, is it fake or is it real? But you can't live. Medical doctors indicating, normally speaking, without taking water for some period of time, you can't live, medically speaking. So he was somewhere else, and something else was maintaining his body than the kind of laws that we're bound by. I'm kind of getting distracted from the Bhagavatam verse. We'll get back. So it's possible, temporarily. Pause. You can hit the pause button. It's not just notional, it's contemporary. It's rare, most rare. But after some time, what happens? The pause button is off, and then there's activity. And when there's activity, it stirs again desire, because desire isn't stopped because there's a living entity. And then the peacefulness, or whatever it is that this young fellow was experiencing, that's over too. The Bhagavad conception is, in the liberated state, the soul has desire. Not only has desire, has form, and has spiritual activity. In second canto, chapter 10, Srimad Bhagavatam, the beginning 2 verses of chapter 10 describe or list the 10 topics of the Bhagavatam, canto 2, chapter 10, verses 1 and 2. And one of those, number 9, is mukti. So it's right in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, something like verse 29 to 33 or something like that, where samadhi in Bhagavad Gita, Dhyan Yoga in the mature stage is samadhi. So like this young fellow, he was in samadhi. How do you live without drinking water? Aside from, you get hungry. You can't live. You dehydrate and you die. So samadhi has a certain list of descriptions of what it's like in samadhi. And then Prabhupada explains the Bhagavad conception of samadhi is, or mukti, it's really nice. We have our teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the first verse of Shikshastaka. Cheto darpana marjanam Bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam. Prabhupada writes in the purport, that's samadhi, just from chanting Hare Krishna. Bhava Mahadavagni. Now that's the metaphor of the blazing fire of material existence. This verse is the rain of the rainy season that's gone. So what's that like? Then there's clouds in the sky, but they're effulgent and luminous, and the light of the sun passes through. So Prabhupada explains, from chanting Hare Krishna, it's not just, it's not mechanical, it's not material mechanical process, it's a devotional process. But the potency of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra chanting can take one to the stage of samadhi. And then what? According to that little purport, Prabhupada explains, the Bhagavatam explains Swarupena Vyavastati, Swa Rupa, in one's spiritual form, Vyavastati. One is engaged in your natural activity, the natural activity of the soul. So stopping activity, again, Jiva Goswami's commentary on this verse, is from stopping karma, which brings about samsara, one can then experience freedom from material desire. Because karma furthers material desire, just like this young fellow that's in this state of trance. When he stops the trance, whenever that happened, when you engage in activity, material desires become stirred. It's just like creation. The living entities are within the body of Mahavishnu because the time energy has been withdrawn. And then the living entities are sent forth along with the time energy, and desire kicks in again. Desire didn't stop. It's just held in abeyance or suspended animation, so to speak. Living entities have desire, but desire can be checked temporarily, and then when again put in contact with material energy, desire comes out again, material activity comes out again, and one's not peaceful anymore. But that peacefulness is not real peacefulness. So real peacefulness is devotional, where there's desire and activity in relation to the Supreme. It's really natural and simple, and it really makes much more sense than desirelessness in the absolute sense. Literally, it means you go out of existence. It's nihilism. Vitaraga bhaya krodha, Bhagavad Gita. One has to go beyond frustration with material existence. So frustration with material existence is the birthplace of impersonalism. You just give it up. It doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. No desire, no form, no nothing. That's impersonalism. And what's on the other side of that? There's spiritual form, spiritual desire, spiritual activity. That's the natural condition of the soul. Persons that don't have contact with Srimad Bhagavatam and Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita or a Vaishnava presentation of Bhagavad Gita, they will never know. There must be contact with a pure devotee in order to awaken knowledge of who we really are. It's a fundamental reality, spiritual reality. And until that happens, one will remain in darkness forever. Not like for a while. I remember as a new devotee, Prabhupada being asked, will living entities eventually go back to Godhead, Prabhupada? He said, no certainty. They can stay in the material world forever. Krishna cast them again and again in demoniac species. And why demoniac species? Because of sinful activity. Why sinful activity? Because people don't know. Supposing somebody's pious. Well, mixed with piety is the mode of ignorance and passion. And you're going to do sinful things. It's a cycle of birth and death, samsara. Even the mode of goodness, activity, there's bondage. And you stay for a while and go to the heavenly planets and come back again. So there's no real sense. There's no real sense of ending the cycle of birth and death. Just by a notion that says, believe in God, and God's a person. 1972, I think, or 73, Rupanuga wrote to Prabhupada. He liked writing letters and got quick answers from Prabhupada. Rupanuga asked in writing in one of his letters, because he shared the letter in Prabhupada's reply, where does a perfect Christian go? What's their destination? It's a good question. Prabhupada's answer, it's hard to find one. But if one did exist, Prabhupada's answer was they would go to Brahmaloka, where they can continue further and may go back to Godhead. That's Prabhupada's answer. So supposing you're a perfect Christian, where is one? But supposing, so where do you go? Because they believe in God, but what's their spiritual form and spiritual activity and their spiritual form? So we have this knowledge, we're not there yet either. We have information, but not, there's a big gap between what we know and how we're leading our lives. So the bhakti process has the potency to carry us to that position. And we're meant to be carried to that position. We can become purified doing sadhana bhakti. That's good. And the shadow of bhakti, bhakti abhas, that's good. But it's not Shuddha bhakti. Shuddha bhakti is Shuddha bhakti. Just like the verse here. Mukta kilbishaha, freed from evil propensities. That's the negation. Mukta kilbishaha. Kilbishaha means contamination, dirty things. Kilbishaha. And shanta, like shanti, such persons can become peaceful. So there's a big difference between a muni who's peaceful and a Shuddha Bhakta. It's not just become free from dirty things. That's good, become free from dirty things. Keep going. The keep going is in full shelter, exclusive shelter in the personality of Godhead. And what does that mean? Engaged in exclusively in his service. Well, we're mixed devotees, most of us probably. And so there's, for Krishna, there's the selfishness. My interests and Krishna's interests. And Shuddha, so the Bhagavatam is teaching in our life, our acharyas are teaching, come to the stage of Shuddha Bhakti. And hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam is a primary means. Of course, it has to be heard from the proper source. And then continue and continue and continue to hear and aspire to awaken Shuddha Bhakti from the mixed devotion position. May you all get there one day. Shuddha Bhakti. But if you don't know what it is, you won't get there. And if you know what it is but don't aspire for it, you won't get there. And aspire for it, you'll recognize you need a lot of mercy to get there. And the mercy is available, but we're distracted by stuff, the temporary and so forth. So we have to continue to strive and seek mercy from the All-Merciful through the agency of those who are distributing the mercy of the All-Merciful. Our disciplic succession, starting with our founder Acharya and on up. And we want to call out to them, please give your mercy. And they may say, are you trying? Well, I was hoping for a lot of mercy and I wouldn't have to try so much. Both are required. That's our Bhagavad Dharma process. Any discussion? Subal has the portable microphone ready. Yes.
I have two questions, Srila Swami. The first one is with, you mentioned about desire of the Buddhists and the impersonalists. It's like pressing the pause button and then, it goes into, and then it goes back,
Yes.
It comes back.
Yes.
For the devotee, when the devotee enters into samadhi,
when the devotee is in samadhi,
the desires doesn't pause. It's not a pause of desires for the devotees, right?
Say it again. It's not a what?
Is the desire doesn't go into pause, but
the desire is what?
Doesn't go into pause.
Doesn't go into an off position. It goes to the on position. Desire in relation to Krishna only. The material desire is off because the other one is on. So if you want the material desire to get into the off position, you go. If you want darkness to go away, you turn on the light, make it real bright. So it's both. We have to address the material desire aspect of our life, and it's empowered, it's fueled, propelled by trying to take exclusive shelter of the personality Godhead. And when we do that, we see, gosh, look at all these material desires. I didn't even know they were there. And they're ruling my life. And so so we address the darkness and we turn to the light. So is that
yes,
topic?
So then the understanding is that for the impersonalists and the Buddhists, actually this enlightenment, which is the samadhi, which is their goal, is not really, is not...
It's limited.
Limited is the word.
Well, supposing, let's just say someone that's Shukadeva Goswami, the rare soul that has Brahma Gyan or Brahma Bhuta, right? Brahman realization. That's enlightenment. Nasochati nakankati samak sarveshu bhuti mad bhaktim labhate param. It's the platform to begin. Labha means to attain. They begin devotional service.
I see.
They may, of course,
if that doesn't happen, then
tick tick. After some time passage, again, material activity, material desire.
And for that to happen, you mentioned you have to have the contact with Bhagavatam or the person Bhagavatam.
Yeah. And then take shelter of that person, supreme person, in service.
May I ask a second question?
Sure.
You mentioned at the end of the class that that the process of bhakti will carry us.
The causes of?
The process of bhakti.
The process of bhakti
will carry us to that space.
Well, the potency is there, yes.
And you mentioned sadhana. So
yeah.
For us, that the gap between nominal knowledge and actually acting in our life, that knowledge, it may be big.
Yes.
But the process will carry us to that.
The potency is there. I'm qualifying your statement.
Yes.
It's not mechanical, but the potency is there.
So we hear Prabhupada mention at times that, just go ahead and do your process of sadhana, chant your 16 rounds, follow the 4 regulated principles through your life, and you will get there.
Well, again, it's qualifying. It's not mechanical. The potency is there. So the qualifier is without fence. Small thing.
Still, it feels to get to that position of no offense is
that's our journey. And it's different. You know this from you. Sin is different than offense. More tenacious, more stubborn, difficult to get on the other side of is offense. The anarthas that arise are more tenacious than the sins that the reaction to sins. Because the bhakti process can eradicate sin, that the bhakti process can be checked by anarthas. So, therefore, without offense. The potency is there, just like the potency is there in the sun. But the sun can be blocked. So anyway, it's a qualifier. It's not mechanical, it's devotional. Janmashtami is eager to say something.
There's one conversation that took place between Srila Prabhupada and Tamal Krishna Maharaj in Bombay during the heavy times.
During
the heavy times when they were trying to get the Juhu project up and running. And Prabhupada oftentimes would call Tamal Krishna Maharaj and when there was a really difficult situation.
Yeah.
So then one day, Tamal Krishna Maharaj exclaimed to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, how can I think of Krishna? My mind is simply filled with temple finances. And then Prabhupada responded by saying, yes, many lifetimes we've wasted on ourselves. If just in this one lifetime we can dedicate heart and soul to pushing on Lord Chaitanya's movement, then at the end, even if we're not completely perfect, Lord Chaitanya will personally come and take us back to Godhead. And I personally saw that with my good friend Nirguna Prabhu when he was leaving his body. I had the good fortune of assisting him in that. And I brought this point up with Giriraj Swami, and he said that, yes, there are many devotees that have dedicated their lives to pushing on the movement that reach very high levels of Krishna consciousness at the end. And the senior devotees were present, and they had very strong sense that they went back to Godhead. So it's kind of like a promise that Prabhupada made to us. And if, following all the specifics, if we do that, that's the kind of mood that Krishna will fulfill that promise for us as well. Anyway, it's an interesting point.
It's an interesting point. You're pausing. You're going to say something further?
Well, Yeah, it was like one of the most meaningful experiences for me to assist we were Sankirtan partners for 18 years. And I told Giriraj about all these amazing things that happened at the end of Nirguna's life. And actually, he came, it was 2 days after Nirguna Prabhu left that the Chopadi Yatra came, and Giriraj Swami gave the first class. It was like in this big art outside building where the Samadhi construction site is now. And he went on for about an hour and a half, and then afterwards I went up and told him what had just happened. And we spoke for like another 45 minutes. And then like about a year later, they had the opening of the hospice in Vrindavan. And I went there to meet Bhakti Brihad Bhagavat Swami. And then Maharaj called me over and wanted me to tell this story, of how Nirguna left. And anyway, I won't go into the details, but he put it in the book, his book, Life's Final Exam, Death and Dying from a Vedic Perspective, transcription of that. But it does seem that this is just overcoming all of the anarthas, but the main pushing that I've experienced, what facilitates my development as a devotee is trying my best, keeping the sadhana, keeping the, studying the Bhagavatam, and serving the Vaishnava, but pushing on Prabhupada's movement. It's like he did with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he just pushed on in spite of all the difficulties. And that's where tremendous mercy is available. That's all.
Okay. I'm ready to comment on what you said,
Good.
but I'd like to have you put the microphone down so that others can ask questions rather than just have a one-on-one dialogue. The short answer is mercy is still required. And one can expect mercy from the merciful. Nonetheless, mercy is required. It is not mechanical. Mercy is not mechanical. So, our faith has to go to the merciful. It's a fundamental principle of Sharanagati. The worthy place of shelter is Krishna, or in our case, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was bearing the Mahavadanyaya of Krishna. More merciful than Krishna himself, although he's Krishna himself. He manifests the fullness of that merciful feature. Still, it's not mechanical. One can expect, but one should not, because he's merciful, but it's not mechanical. That's all my point is. Even Krishna himself, Mother Jasoda wanted to bind Krishna, she couldn't bind Krishna. I mean, this is the Damodar month, so Krishna is not obliged. Krishna he's fully independent, we're fully dependent, and I prefer that consciousness. I also have faith in the merciful Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and dedicating completely to pushing on the mission of the Sankirtan mission till the last breath. It's still dependent upon mercy. That's all I'm uncomfortable with any other perspective that, just do this and then that. It's not business. It's not, he's obliged because. or did this. His nature is merciful. So that's saying the same point. Someone else. Krunanidhi, you always have nice questions.
Maharaj, I was thinking that Lord Chaitanya says, Lord Chaitanya told that Amitare ki devo, means Prabhupada was giving in lecture, I was hearing. Why should I give
Why
those
should I?
give those
Give.
things? Yeah, those things which will hinder his devotional service. That means when we desire something materially, then Krishna does not sanction.
Krishna does what?
Does not sanction.
Does not concern. Sanction.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking then for pure devotee, Krishna takes all the charge of his activities, everything, like Srila Prabhupada's. And so my question is to you, whether Krishna also takes charge of our desire also.
Will Krishna also take away your desire?
I mean, pure devotees desires.
Take away a pure devotee's material desire, not desire,
So he in other words, he facilitated.
material desire. Sure,
Yeah.
sure. That's what pure devotee means. Bhagavad Gita 10:11. There's the answer to your question. Krishna says, yes. You give the microphone to Shant.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the nice class. Your commentary was very nice. It made me think of Lord Krishna. He states that he is the taste of water. So I was thinking about how you mentioned that when the water is in the clouds, it's covering our true effulgence,
Yeah.
or it's covering the true effulgence. And when the water is shed from the clouds, the true effulgence is able to come out.
Yes.
So, in that light, I was extrapolating that it seems to me that as jivas, we're attached to that taste of water. Whether that water may be the Maya Shakti or sort of a benevolent Shakti. There's always these dualities that we see in our reality, and even in Bhagavad Gita, it talks about how to see action in inaction and inaction in action. Also in Bhagavad, there's asuras and suras, both wanting the Amrit for different purposes. So all these dualities and these examples, there's so many examples how to sort of mold our thinking into a very balanced perspective so that we can make the most of all the mercy we get. Like we can't even make the most of all the mercy we
Can't
get.
remain.
I'm sorry.
We can't remain. What was the word you used?
I think I said focus our perspective, like make our perspective very focused and aligned and balanced so we can function nicely. So I was just sort of noticing this from the point you made, thinking about these all these dualities and these examples that are given in the Shastra. So I was just appreciating that we have to sort of wade through all of this material jungle.
Yeah. A comment
Hare
on
Krishna.
your comment or your reflection. When Krishna is speaking about seeing action in inaction, etc. That's not duality, that's knowledge. The example of duality is where there's this, there's that, and when there's that, there's this, because there's duality. And similarly, so it's knowledge. Krishna is giving transcendental knowledge, and there's no duality in that. There's illusion where people think backwards, or similarly, the example of the demons and the devotees, or the demons and the demigods wishing nectar. That's not the example of duality, because the demigods are mixed devotees, and the demons are anti-Vishnu personalities. But that's not an example of duality. Duality is, there may be more of this and less of that, but duality is light and dark, wet and dry. So it's a feature of opposites. There's different natures, the divine and demoniac nature. That's not a feature of duality. It's a feature of, there's different natures in this world. Just like, this wall is yellow and the beams are gold. That's not duality. That's just different colors. The modes of nature are different colors. That's not duality. That's not what duality is. But yes, the main point that you're making is, yes, we have to wade our way through and in a balanced position and see whatever it is that my past activity has brought in front of me on my path today, how to see that in relation to Krishna and carefully navigate my way towards pleasing Krishna in whatever may be in front of me at the moment, this feature of duality that's there. The main point. We're going to take 2 questions and then we're going to end. Go ahead. You're going to add something.
So I was just going to add that that's sort of like that Buddhist concept of the yin and the yang.
Yes.
And that always, the image
That's
always
right.
comes in my
That's
mind.
duality.
To,
Yeah. Male, female. It's not, okay. Keep it short, please.
Okay. The thoughts that occurred to me in your response, what actually enables us to get mercy? Understanding it's not mechanical.
What enables mercy?
No, what enables us to get mercy? What on our side?
That's the endeavor, prayasa. It's what we do.
Right.
Mother Jasoda trying to bind Krishna. It's prayasa. That's the Sanskrit. We make an effort.
Right.
That's what we do. To make ourselves eligible for mercy. And mercy is completely in His hand.
Right.
That's what mercy is. So, what makes us eligible? We endeavor, strive by proper means, under guidance, connected to the guiding persons, guided by knowledge, we strive by proper means.
And in the preface to Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada describes how advancement in Krishna consciousness is dependent upon the mood of the practitioner. So
Yes.
that mood.
Sure, that's part of the striving by right means, the mood.
Yeah.
That's an aspect. It's not only the behavior, it's the mood accompanying the behavior. I'm reaching out, not just doing something, I'm reaching out in that dependent mood. That's that makes us eligible. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.